Okay, I'm gonna say. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Gabe.
And welcome back to the bus build.
Previously on the bus build, you watched us assemble the subfloor. Now we are moving on to framing and insulating the interior. We will begin by ripping a large 3/4 inch piece of plywood into what's called furring strips. These thin pieces of wood will be drilled into the metal framing of the bus to create a uniform surface for attaching finishes like our tongue and groove cedar planks that we will use for the ceiling. We are cutting the strips down to the exact width of the metal channeling to allow for easier installation of our insulation that we will get to later. The furring strips were thin and flexible enough that they could be easily bent to conform to the curvature of the overhead channels. And no, we do not have a table set up for the table saw. This is how we cut approximately 600 feet of furring and framing pieces. Before you even think about purchasing a metal tapping screw, don't get any other brand other than Tex. The day we got our hands on these was the day that our lives changed for the better.
Okay, what the
If only we had discovered them sooner.
Why did we not do this sooner?
I don't know.
Here I am checking the depth of the furring material to make sure that our 2-inch foam insulation will sit behind them.
And over here, when we're dealing with the curve, we did run these curved pieces of wood that were notched, and we had them secured to the hat channels, but I had a big brain moment and realized that we need to put studs running perpendicular to the hat channels so we can hang our cabinetry. At least 2, I think, studs that run all the way down where the cabinets are going to be screwed into the ceiling and again into the wall. So to do that, we were going to use 2x4s, but we don't have Tex screws that are deep enough to pierce through the hat channels and hang them up. So we're going to do this 2 layers of this 3/4 inch plywood again.
Here we are trimming back some excess length on the ceiling strips to accommodate for where we wanted the studs to lay. After trying to fix the first layer of the stud into the ceiling, we discovered a slight issue which created several extra steps for this process. The issue being that the studs would have to start and end on a hat channel, and we of course don't have a continuous piece of wood that can run the entire length of the bus, so we had to improvise by butting up each continuing piece of wood in the middle of a hat channel, which was difficult since they are only about 1 inch thick, but it worked out. To fix the 2 layers of wood together, we are using some of this Loctite PL3X adhesive along with some regular wood-to-wood screws. We were feeling good about how things were coming along, so we had to have a little photo shoot.
Do a dance again. Look at that. What do you think of that?
I like it not at all.
This part will be tricky. Figuring out how we're gonna frame in here to make it because this is kind of not geometrically friendly areas.
We used a combination of 2-inch and 1.25-inch wide furring strips for the walls, just depending on the location. We put foam reflectix on the back of these pieces as well to manage our thermal bridging, as wood only has an R value of 1 per inch. We are doubling the R value of the wood by placing thin insulation behind them on places where thermal bridging will be the worst. Around the base of the floor, we use 2-inch wide strips. This will be the anchoring point for many of our built-in components. There will be another anchoring point just below the windows. Now, we are moving on to framing the windows. This was surprisingly the hardest part of the framing because the metal plates that hold in the windows. The foam on the back of the furring pieces really helped with compensating for the uneven terrain.
Hey guys, welcome back to the bus build. It's really cold out here today. It's about to feel a lot better because we are insulating today. Let's get started. So I'm using the same 2-inch extruded polystyrene board that we use to insulate the subfloor for the walls. So this is just the scrap left over, so I'm just gonna see if we can make this work anywhere in the buses. They're pretty much rectangular shaped, so. Okay, it needs a little bit of coaxing, but you get the idea. right? So this now is insulated with R10. And what we're gonna do next is take some spray foam in any existing gaps, like probably back in here. And then we have a really special aluminum seal tape that I'll show you guys later that we're gonna use to tape up hopefully all the seams and make an airtight seal so we don't have to worry about condensation, because that's a big thing.
How did we land on using foam board for the insulation of choice? There are so many insulation choices out there, but it's super difficult to choose one that will be best for your build and your budget. Chuck Cassidy emphasizes to only use spray foam to insulate your build from the walls up and use foam board on the floor. Now, if money is not an object, I would definitely say hire out somebody to come spray foam your rig 100%. Spray foam has the highest R value of 6 to 7.4 per inch, compared to extruded polystyrene, which is 5 per inch. Sheep's wool, which I actually really considered for its eco-friendly properties, but it only has an R value of 3.6 per inch. The least efficient options being 3M Thinsulate, fiberglass insulation, and reflective roll. We landed on XPS board for a few reasons, the first being budget. Having our bus professionally spray foamed was going to be between $956 and $2,218 for the 255 square feet that we needed covered. Even for the DIY foam sprayer kits that you can purchase at your local hardware store, the cheapest ones run about $400 for a kit that can only cover about 200 board feet. The other reason being the marketplace deal that landed me this amount of XPS board. We got 9 full boards for just $300 when they would have been $550 plus tax at Menards. For insulation on these curved parts of the walls and other parts of the bus that are not geometrically friendly, we are going with, yes, bats of fiberglass insulation. I know I just got done calling fiberglass one of the least desirable forms of insulation, but I got 2 full bats for free from my dad who was doing a renovation project on his house. So I can't argue with that, and it will work for the little space that we need it for. Since the bus will be a very bumpy environment, one thing to consider with bat insulation is the possibility for it to sag behind the walls over time. One way to mitigate this issue is with insulation pins. So I got the absolute cheapest option I could online. Do not do this, because this product did not work the way it was supposed to. You spike the insulation with the pin and then use this washer to lock it down in place, but they just sent me some random ass washers, not washers made to lock onto the insulation spike. I was so mad. Better yet, we glued the pins to the wall in temperatures much too cold for the glue to set, so hardly any of the pins actually stuck to the wall, and we have a bunch of loose pins behind the fiberglass that I now get to dig out and redo. Yay! It's all part of the process. Remember these curved channels? Instead of cutting grooves into the wood to force them to bend, this time I steamed them in the oven. I had my house smelling like the delicious lumber section at Menards. After steaming, they were malleable enough to bend to the curvature of the channels. With the curved furring strips in place, I can finally start theorizing how to fabricate a compartment for our AC hosing and wiring. Next, we filled every air gap with closed cell spray foam, the kind that you get in a can with a little cannula on the end to get into small places. We used approximately 6 to 8 cans to close up all the spaces around the foam board and cover up any remaining metal. It's essential to cover up every inch of exposed metal to ensure that no warm, humid air from the interior of the bus can touch the cold metal, because that's a perfect recipe for condensation and mold. Next, I threw some insulation on the wheel wells, which I later covered with 1/2-inch plywood as a finish, which is not pictured here, I apologize. Who wants to see how we're framing out the front cubby? I still want to have that here. And then this will be storage. This, we are trying to frame out 2 shelves, a top shelf and a bottom shelf. So what I did was glue these plywood pieces across the fiberglass, and again on the bottom, and then here this is all metal framing. So we fixed the wood to the metal framing, and then we made these support beams on the bottom and then again on the top. And then we fixed in these side support beams, and these will hold the walls. So this will be the support for the wall on either side. There's one here as well. So we'll have a wall here, and then this goes all the way back. I can't even reach my arm all the way back here. This we're gonna leave with the reflectix up like this. This will just serve as some extra storage. You know, not really a super accessible cabinet, so we don't really need to have all the fixtures, and plus framing out this area would just be way more work than it's worth. It may be like a garage door, or you know, a folding door right here. Hopefully you kind of get the concept here. Next steps for framing out this little cubby is going to be doing shiplap on the back, shiplap here, shiplap here, and then we're gonna put the shelves in here and here, and then we'll put one big vanity plate on the whole thing to make it look put together and nice. So this has definitely been super challenging to frame out, but I'm glad that we decided to tackle this kind of first. It took a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of troubleshooting, and hopefully this will kind of give us a good foundation to move forward with the framing process. In order to fabricate the shelves with as little trial and error as possible, I am going to create a template of each piece by first taking basic measurements and cutting out a shape, then placing the shape into the cabinet, taping it into place, and then tracing the shape as it lays. Then I placed my stencil onto my finish of choice, which in this case is a big flimsy piece of shiplap, and cutting out the stencil. With the shiplap being as flexible as it is, my hope was to be able to shove it into the cubby without cutting it into 2 pieces, but it was just too awkward of a space and I had to cut it anyway.
I'm going to show what we have to create sort of a barrier for moisture to finally kind of do the last step to seal up our wall panels before the next steps can happen. So this is professional grade aluminum foil tape. I always underestimate a job.
That's it for this video, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode where we begin roughing in our 12 volt and 120 volt circuits and prepare for our solar installation. If you enjoy content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. As always, thank you for watching, and remember, if I can do it, anyone can.